Hello and welcome in. I am MissKinghorn and we are back here in The Sims 4 and today we are building a tiny home. This is actually in Green Harbour. This is on the Porter Promise neighbourhood, which is the very industrial kind of horrible neighbourhood, I guess, in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, at least with this world, to start to change that. We are going to have a little oasis of nature and sustainability in this horrible landscape. That's kind of what I was thinking when I decided to do this one. I kind of liked the kind of brutal, kind of industrial surroundings by this sort of nature, kind of loving, outdoorsy kind of lot in here. It's kind of been like the first one that kind of, if you're going to change somewhere, someone's got to be the first. That's definitely this tiny little home in here. It does actually end up being a tiny home in here lot wise. I think, yeah, we end up on 64 tiles, so it's just nicely in there. But yeah, this is a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom home. This is actually on a 20 by 30 lot, so it's actually quite a large lot, but the home is quite small. I don't necessarily know kind of what budget we end up with for this. I'll let you know down in the description on the video for that, but yeah, I actually really like this. I didn't try to save. I kind of just went all out with it in a kind of tiny micro little oasis in here. Something kind of very kind of completely different, and yeah, something I've not done for a while here on this channel. So I had so much fun with it, and I hope you do too. But as you can sort of see, we're using quite a lot of items from the Adventure Awaits. I did not have in my mind that that was going to work, but actually I really love how this all comes together. These kind of wooden sort of slats, the fencing. I kind of wanted this in my head when I was like building this. I wanted it to be kind of very reclaimed and very sort of, over time you've added bits to it. So like you've got the awnings over some of the windows, but not over all of them because you've only got 2, and like you've built this ladder up the side of it, but it's kind of like a little bit mismatched in colour wise as well. That was more so because we don't really have the same colours that I wanted, but anyway, I kind of roll with it, and we're going to play pretend that it is because we have developed this over time in here. And I really like this little roof garden. We've kind of got solar panels. Now, I should start by saying this. When I started, I had the off the grid lot trait or sort of challenge on this lot. You're going to see that more inside. It doesn't stay. I personally have, I don't do gameplay. For anyone who doesn't know, gameplay is like the worst thing since CAS for me. So I don't necessarily know what goes into it. What I do know is I wasn't allowed to use anything electrical, and it made this really, really difficult to actually do. So to the point where it was too impossible to do. So in the end I changed that, and I kind of actually got rid of that lot trait just because it was too impossible. And you're going to sort of see later on I get super frustrated. Yeah, so just brace yourselves for that one into here. But we're now just pulling out lots of sort of live edit world objects to kind of make this all come together in here. So we've got these big boxes, we've got some barrels, we've got ivy growing up the wall, we've got plants on the sort of on pretty much every surface. We've got this big swing set that I kind of forgot that we had. I'm gonna put it that way. I forgot that we had it in here, and yeah, I thought why not into there. And now we're using this fence in here, which is a really tall, nice big sort of lattice one, and I've then just softened it up by a little fence on sort of that little plant hedge along this side here. And yeah, you kind of can see here I've split this sort of lot in half. On the left hand side we've got the home, and then on the other side we've kind of got this big garden that we sort of use to our full capacity into there. And we do get in some sort of normal trees and plants and normal bits and pieces, but yeah, I just thought it just softened this whole look up, and I feel like it's somebody who has been here for a while because they've developed this little tiny home into what they want it to be, and then they've worked on the garden as well, and maybe the council or the government, whoever in this area, really wants them out because it's a really industrial area, it just doesn't fit. But they are sticking to their kind of, I'm not going to say nomad roots, but they're kind of sticking to their principles of this is our land, we're going to kind of live here, so sustainably, sort of on our own, kind of. That's what I was thinking in my head. Now, I have placed out a really nice armchair at the front here. I've got to be honest, I would be in there with a nice little blanket on, wrapped up, reading a book. That is where I tend to go. In here we've got some bees outside. Yeah, we place those in a different place in the end. I kind of just pulling items out at some points and then we rearrange. But we have our big wall of plants in here, and we also get out our recycling kind of metal chomping machine. I'm not entirely sure what it does or what it's called, but I figured why not, and it kind of works in here with what I really wanted. And more plants. You are going to find a lot of plants in this build, so brace yourselves for that. Now we kind of use these, there's just lots of little details that I've kind of smooshed into here to kind of make it feel really kind of lived in. Lots of plants, lots of plant walls as well, that I've used hanging around, just a decoration, just a nice little detail work into there. And then we come out and we get some more pots. I have actually planted a lot of these up, which basically took most of my sort of gameplay element of this, was opening seed packets and then realising I had like 70 strawberries and nothing else out of like 20 seed packets. So yeah, that was fun. You can see I have placed down all of this sort of mossy kind of grass area. I feel like that's kind of the only grass that would really grow in here. It's kind of been too industrialised and the ground is not the best. Yeah, you'll see here, I wanted that, it doesn't work, and again, it doesn't work. But I think I get this one that is kind of just like a decoration because it's a fuse box. We do have a generator up on the roof for the solar panels, so in my head I'm like, oh, it would work. Like, you know, we have got electricity, just not all the time. But in the end, I get rid of that blood trait, as I said. It was just too frustrating for me. Into there, we have more garden space because, well, I could not be bothered to plant more planters or more. I had space and I didn't really know what to do with it. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. I didn't know what to do with it. We also get a couple of sun loungers up on the top, and they telescope. I figured maybe they might be able to see the stars. I feel like maybe at night the pool isn't so busy, so they would kind of have like the night sky because nobody lives there. It's not really a light polluting area for the stars. That's kind of what I was thinking. But anyway, you can now see we have moved the wind turbines into the middle of those two trees. I don't know if they're going to work there in real life because the trees would block out a lot of the wind, but this is The Sims, as I have to keep reminding myself pretty much every build, and realism doesn't really count. We have some rain catchers as well. We did also place some guttering down around the build sort of tiny home as well, so I feel like they would maybe collect the rainwater off the building as well, and just sort of put that into like a watering butt or something, like a bucket, to kind of collect to water the plants with along there, or maybe like flush the toilets, or even possibly have a shower, because who knows, you never know, into there. But I believe we are about to jump onto the inside. We are over halfway through this video and we've not even done the floor plan. So here is not the floor plan. Yeah, there's the floor plan, and we end up getting another window in the back here. So as you can see, it's kind of an all-in-one on the left hand side, tiny little bathroom, and then the bedroom. Now there are 2 front doors to this build. I kind of wanted access straight out from the bedroom because they would spend a lot of time outside for this, so I kind of figured they would have like a really nice private little space out there for that. Yeah, and I just really liked how this all kind of works. Now you can see here we have lighting that disappears halfway through. This I think actually is on the 3rd day of me third sort of session of me actually recording this. I didn't do it all in one day. Time restraints meant that I had to be an adult for a little while, and I just stopped recording, which is why we have such a large kitchen, because it doesn't work. We end up getting rid of some of these and making it a little bit smaller, but I kind of had in my mind that this was a single sim. Maybe they were like an adult living here who, as I said, has kind of developed this over time and is very like antisocial, who does not do well with others and just wants to kind of live in their own little bubble. That's kind of what I was thinking in here. So yeah, the kitchen is still so big. We get rid of a lot of this, but we placed out some of my kind of go-to clutter that we normally get in here. And yeah, there's actually a lot of the Enchanted by Nature that comes through into this sort of build, as well as a couple of pieces outside as well. And then this shelving unit I absolutely love. It just looked like reclaimed sort of wood that like they've cut down a tree at some point, and yeah, they've just made some shelves out of it. It feels very much like this build, and also something that I wouldn't normally use. I'm looking for the plates here. That was that whole big tangent, sorry. If anyone is actually watching the video, I could not for the life of me find these. Now this, I do actually have a small little disclaimer. I had to change out the oven gloves and the sort of pots, all of that. I've moved it over to the corner unit because for some reason they couldn't cook. Even though nothing is technically on the counter there, it doesn't work. This is where things get a little bit dark. Yeah, I tried to place as many natural lighting as I could in here. So this is now version 3. And yeah, I get really, really frustrated. And you're sort of sitting here, why is it so dark suddenly? I do not know. Nothing has really changed other than the fact that I've come back into game. I'm not sure if there was an update or if it just decided, oh, you don't have any of that available. Yeah, it was kind of a weird one. I do fix it at some point. You will sort of see I get a little bit more frustrated in here. Now, one thing, talking of frustrated, this living room area is so small, I struggle. We end up with a 2-seater sofa and also another armchair. But yeah, I was like, I don't think this is gonna all fit. And I do get it to fit. It is a tight squeeze, but everything is sort of usable, at least at the time of playtesting this, which, yeah. Anyway, more Enchanted by Nature by that little bookshelf. I absolutely kind of love how that all works. And then I get in some nifty knitting, and I also get the sewing kit. We change out that chair for a rocking chair, and then yeah, I was thinking of changing that one as well, but I kind of like the old kind of retro, like maybe they've collected that from like the dump or something along those lines. I apologize for the darkness of this. It there is spotlights in here. There are full spotlights everywhere. They just don't work at the moment. Into there, and then yeah, I placed a couple of little stuffies, the octopus, the turtle, and the panda on that sort of bookshelf, just to kind of fill out how all of that looks. And then we kind of get some little bottles in here, because we're now going to move over to the bedroom. I'm just flitting around doing bits and pieces into there. I would really like to have scaled that up to fill out the wall. It just doesn't actually work when you kind of scale it up. It's like the shadowing effect does not work. But we kind of get that shelving unit out there. And I was thinking of these little hoops, cross stitch things. I thought they would work on the wall. They go on the wall. No. Even the ones that are designed for the wall do not connect to the wall. Okay, that was a lot of walls. Anyway, moving on. Curtains. I've kind of just gone round and placed blinds. I figured they would maybe splurge on getting those sort of built in to there. And now we also have the, as I said, the cross stitch box under the table, and also some blankets. I kind of was thinking that they've got a fireplace, and I was like, that may be the only kind of heating they have in this build. I didn't place any like radiators or anything, so I was kind of thinking it was just gonna be like the sort of wood burner kind of in there as their only source of heating. And now we're going to work over onto the bathroom, and as if by magic there is light. I got frustrated in the dark as well as anybody else, and now you lucky people are actually going to see a bathroom. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but anyway, I have now got rid of the tag, so all of this now works. So you can, I guess, in a way play without it. You might just obviously have to change some of the lighting. I have kept like the generator, the solar panels, the wind turbines, all of those, they are still there, so you do have a sense of heating and lighting power. I just don't know too much about how gameplay works, and like if the cooker is going to work and stuff like that. You may have to run the generator to let them work. I gave up into there. But now we're gonna work on this little bedroom in here. It is tiny, and I did want the original, the big wardrobe that you kind of have to make yourself. It wasn't really gonna work in here, but lots of candles and lots of kind of bits and pieces kind of coming in to all of this, just to make it feel a little bit more homely in here. Now we kind of have this soft sort of blue and yellow kind of colour scheme, the walls being that nice soft blue, and then lots of yellow furniture. I felt like that was maybe her favourite colour, and she's just kind of rolled with it throughout all of this. Now I didn't want like a big sort of lamp on the other side, because we kind of got the sort of reed kind of candle burner light on the other side. So in the end we just placed out some plants. I did say there was going to be quite a few of them on here. Now this one actually is stuck to the table, so you will have to like water that one. But yeah, I think like that actually kind of works in there. And we then get a flower press. Now this doesn't work, I'm sorry to say. For some reason it only works on desks. It wouldn't even snap to the dining table. But we are quickly coming up to the end of this build as I'm doing the finishing touches. So this is available right now on the gallery. But you can subscribe to me here on YouTube. It means so very, very much to me. And basically all social medias as well. The link to those is down in my description. But for now, bye everyone!